Up next, a car overturned in Moorhead. Witnesses say the driver was traveling at a high rate of speed. And a Fargo parent is fed up now that her daughter will be required to wear a mask in school. Plus, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer wants to crack down on fake vaccination cards. Valley News Live at 10 starts now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I am Nashay Taylor. A child is now in the hospital after falling from a third-floor window of a building in downtown Grand Forks yesterday evening. Officers and emergency medical crews responded to the 200 block of First Avenue North just before 8:30 p.m. on the report of the child falling. The child was taken to a local hospital to be treated for unknown injuries. And witnesses say Moorhead police apprehended a man after a rollover crash on Highway 75 near the Bison Plains Lodge. The witnesses believe the driver was going at least 80 miles per hour and ran red lights before losing control and crashing into a fence. Witnesses on the scene also say the driver immediately got out of the car and tried to run. Stay with us as we learn more details about this incident. And the search is on for the driver of a vehicle that hit two pedestrians in Becker County. Authorities say around 6:15 p.m. a vehicle struck two pedestrians who were working on a stalled vehicle located along County Highway 34 in Maple Grove Township in Minnesota. The suspect vehicle then fled the scene. The two male victims were airlifted to a Fargo hospital. Their conditions remain unknown at this time. Anyone with information are asked to contact the White Earth Police Department or the Becker County Sheriff's Office. Those numbers are right there on your screen. Fallen Grand Forks police officer Cody Holty is being honored tomorrow for the Ride Along to Honor the Fallen of 2020 tour. The organization Beyond the Call of Duty has been traveling across the country honoring fallen officers. The group's next stop is in Grand Forks at the Ralph Engelstad Arena. The event begins at 1 p.m. Community members are encouraged to join. A Fargo parent is fed up after her daughter says wearing a mask to school is physically and emotionally exhausting, and she's considering extremes. Valley News Team's JC Dodd brings us the story.
Dropping out and getting her GED.
Those are the lengths a Fargo South senior is willing to go to avoid having to wear a mask in school. Her mom says this is supposed to be a special time in her daughter's life and fears special memories won't be made.
A child should not have to go through this. They're still children.
At the end of the year last year, the mother says her daughter had enough of masking and decided she would no longer wear one. She says for the last stretch of her junior year, her daughter had to sit in isolation.
It's a public school. She has the right to an education. And for a week and a half, she did not get one.
The mother believes the school district is not taking into account the mental health side effects that come with universal masking.
It was like they weren't even listening to us. They had already made up their mind, and I guess free choice has gone out the window. They're not putting enough emphasis on the mental health portion of this.
The family says they have weighed other options like private school, but financially can't afford to. She says her daughter's last resort is dropping out her senior year and getting her GED.
She said she's sticking to her guns, and her dad and I are very proud of her. I taught her well.
In South Fargo, JC Dodd, Valley News Live.
The mom says she hopes the school board will reconsider and try for other options other than universal masking before the first day of school, which is next week. And with students returning to college campuses during a surge in COVID Delta cases across the state, the North Dakota Board of Higher Education is continuing to look for ways to keep their students safe this semester. One of the bigger fears to universities of a 5% North Dakota, fewer students attending a North Dakota institution compared to last year. However, enrollment among North Dakota high school grads slipped by 2%.
The students obviously had an experience adequate enough and had a confidence that we did better than the average across the country. We were very proud of that, but it took enormous work and a lot of the waves of CARES funding that helped sustain us during those periods.
More than 35,500 students are enrolled for a North Dakota institution this semester. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is calling for a crackdown on fake COVID-19 vaccination cards. He says federal officials, including the FBI, need to stop the flow of fake cards coming from overseas. Schumer's demands follow a report by the Associated Press that explained how people are cheating the system and causing concern at universities, requiring proof that students receive a vaccine to attend class this fall.
Who could be that dumb? The vaccine's free, the vaccine's safe, get the vaccine. But right now, there are these horrible people selling these cards, and too many people are looking to buy them. The bottom line is that amidst the COVID crisis and successful efforts to get free vaccines out to the masses, there is a new surge, an unfortunate surge, of counterfeit COVID cards.
Using a fake vaccine card with an official U.S. government logo is a federal crime that carries a possible fine and up to 5 years in prison. Meanwhile, a Minnesota bar is drawing attention for selling anti-Dr. Fauci shirts. Rendezvous Sports Bar in northern Minnesota started selling the shirts less than 4 days ago and has already sold over 90 of them. The t-shirts are reference to the popular Don't Fauci My Florida merchandise being sold by Florida Governor Rick DeSantis' campaign team. The bar owner said they're making the shirts because they don't want to be shut down again. Governor Doug Burgum and First Lady Catherine Burgum are looking for answers from residents on how to address and end the addiction crisis in communities across the state. The North Dakota Addressing Addiction Survey is aiming to have citizens share their unique experiences and knowledge of addiction. The quick 10-minute survey addresses all forms of substance abuse, including alcohol and drugs. The survey is completely anonymous and all information gathered will remain confidential. The survey is also voluntary and consent is needed before you begin. You can find the survey only online. The death toll following a powerful magnitude 7.2 earthquake that struck southwestern Haiti yesterday has reached more than 700. The epicenter of the quake was about 78 miles west of the capital of Port-au-Prince. Prime Minister Ariel Henry said he was rushing aid to areas where towns were destroyed and hospitals overwhelmed with incoming patients. Henry declared a 1-month state of emergency for the entire country. And the U.S. Coast Guard is now helping with relief efforts in Haiti. The Coast Guard deployed helicopters from Florida. Crews are now transporting medical personnel and supplies to an airport near the quake's epicenter. The crews are also evacuating injured people to hospitals in Port-au-Prince. Tennis superstar Naomi Osaka, who is of Japanese and Haitian descent, is making a pledge to lend a hand. She has pledged to donate the earnings from her next tournament to support earthquake relief efforts in Haiti. Osaka made the announcement yesterday on Twitter. Major turmoil in Afghanistan this weekend. The country's government has fallen apart, and now the Taliban is inching closer to taking complete control. John Lawrence reports.
Taliban fighters entering Kabul Sunday, taking control of the presidential palace in the Afghan capital after security units left their posts.
The fact of the matter is, we've seen that force has been unable to defend the country, and that has happened more quickly than we anticipated.
President Ashraf Ghani fled Sunday, earning harsh criticism from Abdullah Abdullah, who served as the CEO of the unity government until last March. Abdullah says God will hold Ghani, who he referred to as the former president, accountable for leaving Afghanistan in its time of need. The collapse of the government comes shortly after the Biden administration announced the U.S. military mission in Afghanistan would end on August 31st, accelerating the withdrawal of U.S. troops after 20 years in the region.
The idea that the status quo could have been maintained by keeping our forces there, I think is simply wrong.
Some Republicans are blaming this rapid fall on the White House, who they say severely misjudged the situation.
I think history is repeating itself. Remember, it was Obama and the vice president at that time, Biden, who decided to withdraw completely out of Iraq. And look what happened. ISIS reared its ugly head.
President Biden didn't follow through on the conditions that were in place. He just let them come and run roughshod. And they're destroying, documents, burning documents at the embassy and trying to get everybody out they can instead of following through on the commitments that were made.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The U.S. Embassy in Kabul, now operating out of an airport in the city, has instructed U.S. citizens in the capital to shelter in place. Later on Valley News Live at 10, many people blame a declining metabolism for those extra pounds in their middle ages, but a new study shows that may not be true. But up next, summer's in to time out our best chances for some rain in the valley.